On this next one, I want to take the derivative, and I notice that the first piece is an inverse trig function, and fortunately for me, the stuff is just a generic x, so I'll be able to use my rule quite nicely, which is the derivative. I'm going to call this the stuff. I always like to think of it that way. So it's the derivative of the stuff on top, which would be 1, over the square root of 1 minus the stuff squared. And then the next term is just good old-fashioned product rule, so I'd be doing first times derivative of the second, which means I'd be powering down, so now it's negative a half, times the derivative of the inside, which is negative 2x. And then second, I'm going to write that to the positive 1/2 power times derivative of the first. Keep in mind that this is really 1 minus x squared to the negative 1/2. So now as I look through, I notice that every single term, so I have 3 separate terms. This front term has that parentheses, this second term has that parentheses, and the third term has the parentheses. And remember, I'm always pulling out the lowest power of it, so I'd be pulling out the negative 1/2 power. And now the leftover stuff, well, for this first term, I don't have anything left over. I used all of it, so that's a 1. For the second term, this is all gone. I used all of it. The 2's would cancel, but I'm going to have an x and a negative x, so that's negative x squared. And on the third one, I'll have an extra whole one of these. Remember, we've done this kind of factoring before, so I could put a 1 on it if I wanted. Remember, you're subtracting the exponents to get the how many you have left over. And so now, inside the brackets, I can simplify to 2 minus 2x squared, and then if I don't like the negative exponent, I can rewrite, and I'll have 2 minus 2x squared on top, and I can even get all fancy and put this back in the radical on the bottom. And there's my final answer. So on this one, again, I have some separate terms. So this first term is a product, so I'm going to have to use the product rule, which is first times derivative of second. Now keep in mind, this now is my stuff. Don't touch my stuff. So I'm going to have to do the derivative of the stuff on top, and on bottom I get 1 plus the stuff squared. And then I'm going to have to add, so remember this was first, and then derivative of the second. And now I've got to do second, so second will be arc tan 2x times derivative of the first, which would be 1. And then over here, my 3/4 is the coefficient, and then natural log, remember I'm supposed to do 1 over the stuff. The stuff there is the 1 plus 4x squared, and then times derivative of the stuff, which would be 8x. So now if I simplify that first piece, I'll have 2x in the numerator, and then 1 plus 4x squared in the denominator. And then in the center I still have arc tan of 2x. And then over on the last piece, I'll notice that the 4 and the 8 cancel, which is kind of cool. So I'll have 6x on top and 1 plus 4x squared on bottom. OMG, I have some common denominators, so I'm going to put those pieces together. And there's my final answer.